Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Outlive. In Outlive, each of the players is controlling a colony in a post-apocalyptic world where a nuclear war has happened and everything is destroyed. So everyone lives in these bunkers. Each player has 4 heroes represented by these meeples, who go out and scavenge and look for food and other resources and supplies and equipment to help build the colony. The colonies are competing against each other to be the best colony that they can be, so that when the fabled convoy comes through later in the game after 6 turns, they can get taken by that convoy to the safe zone. The game is split into 3 phases: dawn, day and night. The dawn phase is a restocking phase where you will put all of the extra resources back onto the board, and there are numbers to show you how many resources to put into each space depending on how many players you have. So we can ignore that on the first turn. The day phase is all the stuff that will happen during the day, which is on the main board, and the night phase is all the stuff that happens within the colony boards. At the beginning of the day phase, the first event is turned over and something will happen. So in this case, the event that's been turned over will remove a survivor from each shelter. And that happens to everyone at the table. Everyone who's playing gets affected by this. You'll have a chance to get rid of these cards when you get to the night phase, but if this is still on the board when you get to the beginning of turn 2, the next event turns over, you'll lose another survivor plus whatever's on that card. Each player in turn will, during the day phase, move one of their heroes to somewhere else on the board. You're not allowed to stay in the location you're at. That's really important. There are a handful of movement rules that must be abided by. So I'll run through them real quick. First up, each hero, so these meeples are heroes, each hero is allowed to move 1 or 2 spaces. So if this guy's going to move, he'll move 1 to there or 2 to here, or he'll move 1 to there or a second 1 to there. Fairly simple. However, this guy would not have been able to stop on this location or this location because there's already another meeple with his color on that location. You can only have 1 of your own heroes on a location at any one time. You can move through a location, so this guy would be allowed to go 1, 2, and move through that location to get to here, even though he has 1 of his own meeples there, but he would not be able to stop there. You are, however, allowed to stop on a location where there's another hero. Now you'll notice that my heroes or meeples are lying down at the moment. This shows that they have not been activated this turn. So if I, for example, wish to move to this location, I would move him there and stand him up, showing that he is an active hero. Notice the number on the meeple. That shows how many actions and how much strength that particular hero has. So there's 2 number 3s, 1 number 4 and 1 number 5 within each colony. If this hero happened to be active and the opposing colony decided to move to that same location, that is completely permissible. However, because it is a strength 5 hero moving into a space with a strength 3 opposing hero, he would do a thing called putting pressure on the yellow player. What that looks like is the yellow player would either need to spend 2 ammunition to be able to meet the level, so 3 plus 2 ammunition would equal 5, or he would have to give up 2 resources. So the resources that yellow would have to give to orange would be 2 resources of the yellow player's choice. So the person being attacked will choose which resources to hand over. It's always that number of the difference between them. If it was a level 3 hero coming in in the same space as a level 3 hero, no pressure would be applied. Now that is actually a compulsory action, applying pressure. If I don't wish to attack and I really want to use that, I still have to. There's no choice there. When applying pressure, you can only apply pressure to other standing heroes, so there wouldn't be any pressure applied in this particular circumstance. If that one's standing up, then the pressure gets applied. The number on your meeple also tells you how many actions you can take in a space. Actions look like taking a card, taking equipment, or hunting, or taking resources. Now that we've dealt with all of the movement, and how the meeples will interact on the main board, let's run through what each of the spaces do. From the top left, you can gain wood, you can gain water, you can gain ammunition, you can gain metal, you can gain microchips. Microchips are important because without them, you can't gain water. In order to go to the dam and gain water, you must have a microchip because you will spend one microchip to take as many water as you like, because that microchip will be put into the computer at the dam to clean the radiation out of the water. You'll also notice that there are piles of wolf paws tiles on 3 of those locations. If you go to those locations, you can choose to hunt instead of taking resources. The number in the middle of the paw, in this case number 7, is called the endurance. That's how many actions it's going to take your meeple to actually kill this beast. You can use ammunition to reduce that number. So if I have 4 ammunition and a level 3 hero meeple, I could take this guy out, but that would be all of my actions for the turn. What you get for it is, if this is the first one of this color that I've taken out, a level 7 beast, I would get 5 meat, which looks like that. Nice little steak. I would then put that next to my board, and the next time I come up against one of these same colored animals, I would actually get 6 meat out of it, because apparently I'm better at hunting them and getting the meat from them than the next time 7 and the next time 8. So that's what those little numbers mean. That's how much food you're going to get from them. It's always the one on the left first. That's how many actions you will need to actually take it out. So if I've only got a level 3 hero, but I've got no ammunition, I can't take this guy out. Just because there are animals to be hunted on a location does not mean you have to hunt them. If I go to this location, I could just take 3 resources instead of trying to hunt. Up in the top right corner, where you'll find the ammunition, there is also this marker. The first person to claim that location will also claim this. That gets turned over to show that it's been claimed and no one else can use it for this turn. When you take that seaweed, you will reduce your radiation by 1. And this is for points at the end. I'll talk about that a little bit more when I get to the night phase. There are 2 cities on the board. One on this side, one on that side. When you go to the city, you can use your actions to claim any of the available equipment. You're only allowed to have 1 of each equipment tile. So if you've already got a flashlight, you cannot claim a second flashlight. You're able to spread your action points between that and taking tiles from this stack. That stack generally has additional resources in it and some good things. There are a couple of things in that stack that are not helpful, but you'll come across them as you go. That's the same in both cities. When you take equipment, put it on the left-hand side of your player board. It is broken equipment that needs to be fixed. Once it gets fixed, you'll move it to the right-hand side of your board. I'll talk a bit more about that in the night phase as well. The only other location that I haven't dealt with yet is the cargo ship, which is down the bottom center. The way the cargo ship works is there are numbers here, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you send your number 3 hero in, he will stand on the number 3, which will give him 1 food, and you'll take an extra survivor back to your shelter. That now means that any other number 3 cannot step in there or cannot stay there. However, a number 4 can, and he will get 2 canned food and also another survivor. A number 5 can also take this space for 3, and even though your heroes don't go up to number 6, there are a couple of things that would enable you to take a 6 that basically has a +1 for the cargo area. And they may come up or they may not. We'll see what happens when I get to the games played. In essence, that's the board. Everyone will move 1 of their heroes once and keep going until everyone has moved all 4 of their heroes. Once they're standing, obviously they aren't able to move again, and that's the whole purpose of the standing lying down. Only the lying down ones are going to be able to move. Once everyone has moved all 4 of their heroes, we come to the night phase. The night phase is all on your own board. The first thing that happens on the night phase is everyone in turn order gets a chance to solve the events, or any of the events. So this was the event that was turned over at the beginning of the turn, at the beginning of the day phase. In order to solve this, one of the colonies is going to have to spend 4 metal and 2 wood. So it's always listed across the bottom. If they can spend that, so return those resources to the supply, they'll take this card and it'll be worth 4 points at the end of the game. If they don't manage to solve this, the card will remain in that spot, and at the beginning of the next turn, the negative effect that is on that card will continue to happen, will happen again, as will the negative effect of the next event that gets turned over. The next thing we do is feed the survivors. How do we feed survivors, I hear you ask? Well, We have a look down on our board and we notice in the airlock, so when you get survivors during the day, you'll probably put them in the airlock. You could put them into rooms if you wish, but in the airlock, any survivors on this top row will cost 1 water. That's for all the survivors on the top row. And if you have then any on the bottom row, that will be 1 more water. So it'll be a maximum of 2 water to feed or look after any survivors in the airlock. Any rooms that have been activated will cost, there's a number and any of those resources. So the resources is food or water. So because this one's been activated and has survivors in it, I will need to spend either 2 food or 1 food and a water or 2 water to feed them. Now that doesn't matter if there's 3 of them in there or if there's only 1 in there. It's going to be the same food and water cost to look after them. And that will be the case through all of the rooms. Any room that has a survivor, you'll need to pay that food/water cost. The next thing you do is handle radioactivity. On the event card board, there is a number. So in our first turn, our radioactive level is 1, which means I have to have 1 survivor in my airlock in order for the radioactive level not to go up. So if I had no survivors in the airlock, my radioactivity would move up 1 from wherever it was. And as you go further into the game, that number gets higher. The last 2 turns, you have to have 3 guys in your airlock in order to stop radioactivity from happening. Each survivor in the airlock actually stops 1 movement of that radioactivity. So when we get up to the 3, so the last 2 turns, if there's no survivors there, this cube is going to move up 3 spots. So it's really worthwhile keeping your eye on that because that's worth negative points as you head up. If you're up there and you need to reduce it more, instead of reducing it more, you actually have to start killing off survivors from your rooms. And you'll lose 1 survivor radioactivity point that's supposed to move upwards. If you have commodities left over, that's water and food, canned or fresh, you can spend that to recruit more survivors and place them into your rooms. Once that's done, the next thing you're able to do is to build the rooms. Building a room looks like spending 3 resources, metal, wood, and microchips. You spend 3 resources of any combination to turn one of the rooms over, and then you're able to move any survivors from the airlock into that room. The room will only be activated once it's built, number 1, but number 2, once all of the spots that hold survivors are full. So this room at the moment is both built and active because all 3 of the circles are filled with survivors. This is also the time when you'll activate the effects of any of the rooms if they've got ongoing effects. So for example, this one has 4 ammunition. I would gain 4 ammunition right now if this was a full active room. Then we have a chance to fix equipment. This is what the equipment cards look like. The cost to fix the equipment is listed in that top right hand corner. So in this case, I would need 1 metal and 2 wood to fix this piece of equipment. Once it's been fixed, I put it on the other side of my board, and whenever I go to the military base, which is that top right hand corner, I would get 2 extra ammunition. Now you notice there's a little half symbol here. There are points for each of these fixed pieces of equipment at the end of the game. If you have the other half of that symbol fixed as well, that's actually worth another 2 points for each pair of them that you have fixed. Any equipment that you have that has been fixed can only be used once per turn. So when you use it, just turn it on its side like that to show that it's been used. And once we get to this point in the night phase, you will flip them back to show that they're available to be used in the next turn. The other thing you're going to do is throw away any meat that you have left in your shelter that's unused. And you'll also discard any water except for 2. So you can keep 2 of these water tokens in your shelter from turn to turn, but any excess on top of that you'll need to get rid of. So it's probably worthwhile, if you're not going to actually use them to fix equipment, it's probably worthwhile to actually use those foods and waters to recruit new survivors back earlier in that night phase. Once that's all happened, we start the next turn, turn over the next event, and go again. That is the game. That is how it runs. I hope that this helps you get Outlive to the table. I hope that you get a feel for Outlive. Go on to watch my Gamesplaned video to see how the game plays. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you wish to be Gamesplaned, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to see what games I've been playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.